Hey there, brother. This is Steve and Dan again. We're here to talk about another topic that we want to dive deep into the idea of yes versus no. One thing we've noticed in the comments we get in emails, comments we get on YouTube videos is that guys reach a certain point to where they don't say no to anything. They say yes to everything. They compromise, they negotiate, they bargain for everything. They feel weak. They feel like they're on their heels. And when you don't say no to anything and you just say yes and you go along to get along, you start to live a life of misery. Nothing feels good at all. And so in this video, we want to talk about how to get out of the rut of feeling like you're just a yes man. You're the happy wife, happy life man. And one thing we thought we would do to start today is read. This just came in an hour ago. I don't know when you're watching this video, but just an hour ago, a man writes a comment on a YouTube video, and Dan and I said, "Oh, this is perfect. This is exactly who we're talking to. If you can relate to anything this guy is saying, you're going to like what we have to say today." So I'm going to read it to you. There's no name, of course, but he's a typical guy. This could have been me at one point as well. Here it is. I am miserable. I'm miserable because I've been in a 20-year sexless relationship, and it's depressing, it's humiliating, and it's embarrassing. And I've overcompromised, and she doesn't compromise even close to as much as I do. I've brought up this displeasure over our sexless relationship hundreds of times, and nothing ever changes. It's a daily hell. I think I need to move on, but I'm so nervous after so many years. And we get along otherwise for the most part, but the sex part is a massive problem that she doesn't care about at all. So, like I said, when we read that, we're thinking, oh man, this is every man we've ever talked to, including ourselves. And so let's talk about this. Dan, I'd love for you to read what it is we're going to talk about
Okay.
today when it comes to yes versus no.
Great. So this is another little bit from an article that I wrote, I don't know, a couple of months ago. The title of this bit, it says, Saying Yes Got You Here and Saying No Will Get You Where You Want to Go Next. Oftentimes, men get stuck living in the happy wife, happy life version of marriage. But intimacy isn't available when you always disregard your desires for hers. You say yes to make her happy. You say yes to avoid conflict. You say yes so you don't have to feel uncomfortable. But now you feel like a doormat. You've lost yourself and you've lost your ability to be confident in yourself and to lead your life and relationship forward. To create the intimate relationship that you really want, you will need to do some work on your perspective of yourself, your character, your values, your wants, and your boundaries. It's impossible for a man who never says no to change his relationship. Saying no with love and conviction is what creates trust, safety, and attraction. And she doesn't want a people pleaser. She wants a confident man who knows who he is and what he wants and what he doesn't want.
That's perfect. I'll start off with trying to clarify something. If you're watching this video and you just hear what we just said, you're thinking that we're thinking you're supposed to become a big asshole and say no to everything. Like if you don't get what you want, she's not going to get what she wants. This is not about retaliating or trying to intimidate her or ghost her or make her feel a sense of lack or scarcity because you're pulling away. This isn't about that. Saying no is a self-respecting place of confidence and agency where you feel like I am taking charge of my life. So some of the things I'm going to ask you to say no to have very little to do with her, unless she's being horribly abusive. You said in the last comment they get along otherwise. So it's not like she's being horrible, contemptuous, insulting, critical, emasculating. She's not doing all that stuff. You don't have to say no to that because it's not even happening. What you have to say no to is the idea that you're an overcompromising people pleaser who tends to just say yes to everything. You're probably moving pianos for people you barely know. You're probably offering to help people who don't ever reciprocate to you. This is the nice guy syndrome. Dan and I know this very, very well. So I'm going to give you four places in your life that you should think about saying no to. Your wife might see you as someone who compromises everywhere in your life, with your job, with your friends, with your parents, even with your kids, and that you just feel weak and small because you say yes to everything and never feel like you get anything back. The four places in your life I think you would want to focus on are the people in your life, the places in your life, the habits you have in your life, and the things in your life. These are places where you can say no to things that drain you, things that just suck the life out of you, things that make you angry, things that just create tension in your body or take time away from you. Saying no to people who are negative people, who are just draining you, who provide you no value. The places like bars and places where you go that really are just full of negative people who don't do anything for you. Think of the places you go. If you live in the city, stop hanging out in the city, go out in the country. If you're in the country, go into the city. Do something different. Do something that energizes you. How about habits? How about habits like drinking and smoking and sleeping like crap? How about habits of watching newsreels all the time and getting mad about politics? You have to stop the habits that drain your brain, that make your brain weak and soft and angry, because angry, although it can be a useful emotion, it also can make you weak when you just marinate in your anger. So that's people, places, habits. Things are things like things you think you need to buy. Oh, I need a new car. I need this. And sometimes guys become materialistic and they get so mad because there is no amount of keeping up with the Joneses that makes you feel better. So you're trying to surround yourself with things and doing things and experiencing things instead of just being a confident man who knows who he is, he knows what he wants, and he doesn't give a fuck about some of these people, places, habits, and things that have been defining him up to this point. This is a huge turnaround. When you start saying no to all the bullshit that drains you and makes you feel small and weak, and you stop complaining about what she is or isn't doing, there's something that will change in her when she sees you've become a no man instead of this classic yes man. So I'll stop there and let Dan take it from here, and we can finish up with the conversation.
Yeah, I want to talk about trust because I think this is directly related to this. So that article that we're reading bits from is 25 ways to increase the intimacy in your relationship. So directly related to intimacy. Trust is absolutely foundational to intimacy. So maybe in some situations where, you've just met each other for the first time and it's, the chemicals are flying, trust is maybe not so important in those situations, just all full of excitement and fun chemicals. Maybe in a long-term relationship, years together, kids, house, family, blah, 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 then trust is foundational. And so the key here is saying yes is not actually trustable. So saying happy wife, happy life, what do you want, dear? I don't mind. You make the decision. We think that strategy is going to be a good strategy because surely she will be happy because she gets to make the decisions and gets to buy the things and go to the places that she wants to. But actually what happens over a period of time is that becomes exhausting. And she ends up going, well, now I just feel like all the decisions are on my shoulders. I have to make all the decisions in all the areas of our life. And who am I in a relationship with? Why am I in a relationship? What is the point of being in a relationship with somebody? When you first got together, you chose this person because they challenge you a little bit. They make you want to be a better man. And she still wants to feel that from you, that you have an opinion around something, that you have a value around something, that you are moving towards something, that you have the strength and confidence and courage and willingness to be able to make those decisions and state your opinion. I think women trust a man who has a completely opposing opinion to her and is willing to state it and knows why he's stating it. That is much more trustable than a man who goes, I don't mind. What do you want? Whatever you want. We'll just do what you want so that you'll be happy. That's not trustable. And it's actually exhausting because it just puts all the responsibility of decision making and leadership onto the other person's shoulders. It's not sustainable. That will come back and bite you in the ass at some point. Guaranteed. Ask me how I know. So trust is, trust is something that is foundational to truth, right? And authenticity. And so this is why we're always talking about values and principles and standards and boundaries and that sort of stuff. We bang on about this stuff because it's foundational to a good, consistent, long-term connection and intimacy in your relationship. She needs to feel, who the hell are you? What do you stand for? Who am I in a relationship with? Can I trust this person? Can I rely upon them and the values that I know that are really important to them? Can I rely upon that? Can I relax around that? If I can't relax around that because I can't rely on it, because he's not able to stand up and say no sometimes and stand up for something that's important for him, then I have to control everything. And again, I'm going to get exhausted.
Mm. If I was talking directly to the guy who wrote that YouTube comment, the 20-year sexless marriage, with everything you just said there, most guys would go, yeah, but if she would only have sex, things wouldn't be so bad. And she's probably saying, well, all you ever think about is sex. All you want from me is sex. All you value from me is sex. I don't trust you. And so for that guy in the YouTube video, if he's listening to this conversation, he might say, "Yeah, but in a marriage, you're just supposed to have sex. I mean, that's what she agreed to. She's not even acting like she's attracted to me." And you can't keep drumming that idea that you're supposed to just get what you want to get. That's a very adolescent view of life. You get what you create. If you want more intimacy and touch and sex and laughter and playfulness, if that's what you want, you have to create an environment of trust that allows that to happen. So when a woman says that all you ever think about is sex, you think she's literally saying that all you ever think about is sex. And so you want to start defending it by going, "No, I think about coffee and I think about work," right? That's not what she's saying. Let's decode that. All you ever think about is sex actually means I don't trust that you have other agendas in your life. I don't trust that you have agency over yourself. I don't trust that you will say no to anything as it relates to us, me, or our family. I don't trust you, that you have a proper balance and view of what this relationship's all about. She wants sex. I'm telling you right now, she wants sex. That's a mistake. Oh, she's not sexual. She's never been sexual. Bullshit. She wants sex, but she doesn't want sex without the trust and the security of knowing that you're a man who actually knows who you are, what you believe in, what you're willing to stand up to, what you're willing to say no to, including her sometimes, but also all the other people, places, habits, and things in your life that keep draining you and make her, come to the conclusion that you're not trustable because you don't seem to take control of your own life. And you seem to think that having more sex is the only antidote to this unhappy feeling you've got. That's untrustable. You wouldn't trust that in a friend. You wouldn't trust that in anybody.
Yeah. And add into that there's often guys are often unaware of this, that there's a narrative that's going on underneath, which is the guy is usually, he's got to a certain point in life where it's pretty calm, it's pretty consistent, he's pretty successful, things are ticking along. But he's kind of bored, he's not really at his edge, he's not really being challenged anymore, he's not growing anymore. And so what's happening there is he's bringing that need for fulfillment to the sexual part of his relationship. But every part of life that used to give him some fulfillment, all the friendships, the career stuff, sports, whatever it is, all that stuff has now kind of died off, and it's all being focused down to the relationship. And she's going, I can't be the place you get all your fulfillment from. She's actually saying, what I want to see is a man who's finding his fulfillment in lots of different areas of life, and where I have to actually request to have some of that man in my life. That's who she wants to fuck, not the guy who's begging, pleading, and holding up the right of rules. And this is what we agreed to. She doesn't want to fuck that guy. She wants to fuck the guy who's going, I'm really happy. My life is challenging me. I'm constantly still growing and evolving. Life is good, and you have to find a bit of time, and she's trying to get some of his time rather than, and that's not me saying you do those things to manipulate the other person. No, you do those things to feel good about yourself, to be testing yourself, challenging yourself, to feel like a man in lots of different areas of your life, and it benefits your relationship and essentially the intimate sexual part of your relationship a lot.
Mm. I want to end on this note. Dan and I have been in your shoes many, many times. We know what it's like. Sometimes when we talk like this, it's easy for you to feel shamed. It's easy for you to feel like we're telling you all the responsibilities on you and she has none. We know that feeling. and it's not what we're trying to tell you that you're broken and that you caused all of this. What we do know, there's a place to get where there's a swagger, a smirk, confidence, and mojo that helps you feel like you're more in control of your romantic life, your intimate life, your relationship life, the humor, the fun, the touch, everything. And when you get to that place, you find out life is much easier. What we do is help you get there. We can't promise you we're going to change her, but we can promise you that when she changes the way she's seeing you, the way she feels about you will change as well. You have to want this more for yourself than you need her to want you. This is a taking care of you thing. And so we want you to fill out the application for a consultation call. If you feel like you're ready to go deeper and to own the part of your life that makes you grin at the universe, we want to help you get there. You can do this. Absolutely. We've been there. We know it. So don't feel like we're trying to criticize men or make you responsible. We just know what it's like to be in your shoes, and we want to inspire you to take some action.
Yeah. And one final thing on that, saying no to things that you don't want. So let's say you are in a relationship where the other person, because this happens, right? There's no absolute guarantee that somebody's going to want to be in a relationship with you forever. They might have done at one point, but that may change over time. But you don't continue to say yes to something that isn't meeting the standards that you want, right? So you learn to say no. But first of all, before you can learn to say no, you've got to learn to trust yourself and rely upon yourself to make decisions that are going to create the future that you really want and to get rid of the things that you don't want. And that is part of this work that we're doing to really get you to feel really good about yourself. Because as you start to feel really good about yourself, you state these things left, right, and center. You just don't hold back. You don't tiptoe around and hope that somebody is going to change their mind. You just address things very clearly, very straight. This is what I'm available for. This is what I'm not available for. And you challenge people to join you in the future that you're creating, no matter what.
I love that. So, how's that sound? How does that sound? Let's do it. Go to the website, fill out the application. Let's sign you up with a consultation call and go deeper. We don't take money up front. We do all this for free until you decide that you actually want to take the time and effort to become the man that you really were meant to be. So, let's meet each other sometime.
Love you, brothers.
Love you. Take care.